Hi everyone, this is Ryan Beach. Today I'm going to give an in-depth look of the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln's presidency was not like any other witness. The United States was engaged in a great civil war, North versus South, and brother versus brother. Lincoln made it his manifest destiny to bring the country back together under one nation, under God, forever united. After 5 long years of great suffering with numerous casualties on both sides, the Civil War had come to an end on April 9th, 1865. The country was united once again, but the wounds of the war would never truly heal for some Southern Americans. John Wilkes Booth was determined to avenge the South and planned to assassinate President Lincoln. The assassination of President Lincoln took place on April 14th, 1865. This cold and calculated act shocked the nation, once again bringing turmoil and uncertainty to the United States once more. April 14th, 1865 was just another day in Washington, D.C. The Civil War had come to a close just 5 days before, and many of the Northerners were still rejoicing over the victory. Booth, furiously at the end of the South, was on his way to pick up his mail at Ford's Theater. Upon arriving at Ford's, he overheard the news of President Lincoln and his wife, General Grant, and his wife were to be attending the performance of Our American Cousin that evening. After plotting to kidnap the president, which never left the ground, John Wilkes Booth realized that this was his opportunity he was waiting for. In his vision, he would kill the president and General Grant to avenge the South, in return making him a hero to the South. He knew Our American Cousin, its duration, its scenes, its players, and important as it would turn out, the number of actors on stage at any given moment during the performance. It was perfect. He knew that he would not have to hunt for Lincoln. The president would be coming to him. Booth would need some assistance in order for this to work correctly, so he searched for some counterparts. Lewis Powell, George Atzerodt, and David Harold were instructed to meet at the Henderson Hotel at 8 o'clock that evening. There, the assassination attempt would be constructed. Booth only had a short time to prepare, but like all great actors, they work best under pressure. John Wilkes Booth was astonished over the idea of killing the president. As he prepared throughout the day, he came up with a twisted scheme so sinful that he would not just be killing Abraham Lincoln and General Grant, but he would also be killing Vice President Johnson and the Secretary of State. Driven by the fantasies of being a hero, Booth decided that killing 4 political leaders was his plan of action. He did not want to be remembered as a famous actor. He wanted to be remembered as the man who avenged the South. It was 8 o'clock at the Henderson Hotel, and all 3 counterparts were present. Atzerodt, Powell, and Harold were waiting impatiently on the great admirer to understand why they sent him there for. Speaking in whispers, Booth instructed George Atzerodt to kill Vice President Johnson. David Harold would accompany Lewis Powell in killing the Secretary of State Stewart, while he would kill President Lincoln and General Grant. After the brief planning, each hired gunman would take a single-shot pistol and a knife to arm themselves. Booth took the authority of foreshadowing the event in the National Intelligencer, signing the letter with each 4 of the assassins' names. For a long time, I have devoted my energies, my time, and money to accomplish a certain end. I have been disappointed. The moment has arrived, and I must change my plans. Many will blame me for what I am about to do, but posthumously, I am surely justified. Men who love their country better than gold in life. Each man left and went on their respective locations. John Wilkes Booth rode on his horse to Ford's Theater, thinking about the final performance on stage. For him, it would end with a bang. Abraham Lincoln and the presidential party arrived at Ford's Theater late that evening. Lincoln and his party rushed into the box seats, trying not to be noticed and not to draw any attention. Upon hearing of the president's arrival, the band, seated at the bottom of the stage, stopped the show completely and started to play Hail to the Chief. Embarrassed and shocked by the unexpected welcome, President Lincoln took his seat and the play resumed. About an hour later, Booth arrived at the backstage door with his weapons ready in his pockets. He navigated himself under the stage and went outside of Ford's Theater to the saloon that was next door to the theater. He was wasting time until the perfect moment to strike. When the time came, Booth made his way to the presidential box. He was baffled that he did not see the guards standing outside the door. John Parker, Lincoln's bodyguard that evening, left his post to get a better view of the show. He headed towards the box, waiting for the climax of laughter, which would soften the sound of his gun. When the line was said, followed by the roar of laughter, he opened the door and shot Abraham Lincoln in the back of the head. Lincoln's body slouched forward by the impact of the bullet. Mary Lincoln leaned over to her husband to see what was the matter. Another surprise came to Booth while in the presidential box. The man attacking him was not General Grant. It was a different man named Major Rathbone. Armed with his knife, Booth managed to slash into the Major's arm, leaving him in massive pain. Booth's only means of escape was to jump through the box onto the stage. As he was about to jump, Major Rathbone grabbed Booth's boot, causing his spur to get caught in the draped American flag. As a result, Booth landed and breaking his ankle. Getting off of his balance, John Wilkes Booth yelled in pain, "Sic Semper Tyrannis," to the audience. In translation, that means, "Thus always the tyrants." The audience was confused, as this was part of the show. Until somebody shouted, "Stop that man, the president has been shot," the audience knew that this was no act. When someone shouted to stop that man one more time, that was when John Wilkes Booth knew that it was his cue to leave the stage. As fast as an actor can change characters, John Wilkes Booth was already galloping to Richmond, the capital of the former Confederacy. Upon the request of Mrs. Lincoln, the body of the president was moved to the Peterson boarding house across the street. His body was laid diagonally across the bed that was too small for him. The news quickly spread throughout Washington that Lincoln was shot. Rumors of the Secretary of State was killed was also spread throughout Washington as well. As it turns out, Harold and Powell did attack the Secretary, but he did survive the attack. And as for Azeroth, he never did make it to the Vice President in fear of being discovered. Throughout all the madness, Lincoln was heavily breathing in the boarding house. He was the only victim of the plots. At 7:22 a.m. the following morning, President Lincoln was pronounced dead. The great emancipator, the savior of the Union, belonged to the ages. As President Lincoln laid on the bed at the Peterson house, the country was on the manhunt to catch John Wilkes Booth and his counterparts. Booth only lasted a few days on the run until he was captured in a barn. For more information about the Lincoln assassins, please visit the following link. For future information about the Lincoln assassins, please see the movie The Conspiracy. Thank you for listening. This is Ryan Beach. Have a great day.